Okay, cool. Amazing. So I'm going to share my screen and then you guys just let me know if you can see it. I have all these like little, I'm hoping I don't. Let me just change my system preferences quickly so that you guys can see my Zoom screen. All right. And then we'll get on with it here. Zoom will not be able to record the contents of your screen until it's quit. Okay, Rachel, I'm going to pop out and pop back in, okay?
Sure.
Okay, 1 second. Hey guys, I'm back. Can you hear me okay? All right, amazing, wonderful. And if the host can enable screen sharing, I can share my screen and we can go from there. So I'm hoping all the technical glitches will be Zoom's fault tonight. And then Ocean will be absolutely flawless. That's my goal. All right, so once that's enabled, you guys let me know and then I will rock and roll. And if you hear crying, that is my little 15-month-old upstairs. So I will try and mute when I can and show you guys what I have going on. Rachel, do you have screen sharing or can you help me enable it? Sorry.
Yeah, I do have screen sharing.
Yeah. Just says host disabled participant screen sharing. So once we get that, I should be good to go.
Which is strange, but you know what? I'm going to put advanced sharing options. So you should be able to share. I'm going to put all. Let me know if you can share now, Dan.
Yep, got it. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys my whole screen, okay? So all the glory. Okay, so you guys can see that okay? All right. Zoom would like to record it. Sure. Okay. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes, we can. I'm not sure if you can see reactions or faces anymore.
I can't see full reactions, but I can see down to Gord. And then if anyone else comes on, okay, cool. Okay, so you can see the screen. This is my chart. So we have a chart open in Telus. Do you guys want to start with eConsult or eReferral? What would your preference be? Does anyone have a strong preference? Because I'm good to go either way. Usually the way that I think about eConsult and eReferral. eConsult. Okay, wonderful. So eConsult, the way that I would typically log into eConsult is the following. eConsult.otn.ca. And you wait for this, and then you click One ID, and then you click this, and then you click this, and then you click this, and then you hope and pray that you actually have your password enabled. Because if you don't, then you're like, oh my God, I can't remember my One ID password that I have to check once a week. And then I actually bought a Mac that has a Touch ID, so it saves all your passwords because I just couldn't handle the friction of dealing with it. So then you have to do two-factor authentication. And now I have to wait for the text message to come in to get me into One ID, to get me to OTN. So that text is maybe coming. Okay, 957075. So your blood pressure's climbing, 140 over 110, 145 over 115, and it's rising because your kid's crying upstairs and your internet is slow. And you're like, oh my God, I ran out of my coffee. I already drank that. And now I need to send all these eConsults. So now you can request eConsult. So let's say I have a question about a urology patient and I want to send it to Jeff Campbell. And I have to put in my name and then I have to put in my last name. Thank God I remember my birthday. So now you all know how old I am. So no judgment on that one. And then I put that in. Now here's the point of friction that's the most annoying. So you guys let me know if you can see this part, because this is really important, is the OHIP number. So now I have to click here and I have to launch this. I have to wait for it to launch and then I have to find it. Okay. I click too much because I'm impatient, and then I click back here. And then I have to click their health card number, and then I do copy and paste, and then I go back over here and I do this, but it won't accept it like this because it needs no spaces. So then I have to click delete, and then I have to click delete, and then crap, I forgot my version code. So then I need to go back and I need to punch in my version code, and I say, dear Jeff, please help me with this patient who has BPH, please. And that's not even including this little paper clip of attachments where I have to export things. So let's say I want to export something. I then need to go over here. I need to green bar a couple of things. I need to go file, export to PDF, save the PDF. And you can just tell my blood pressure is like getting higher and higher and higher and higher. So in non-technical speak, I would call this crap or friction. And these are all the reasons why I didn't send an eConsult. So let's send this to Jeff for fun. I'll text him after and tell him not to worry about the eConsult. But now it's sent. Finally, 10 minutes later, the eConsult is actually sent. Okay, I'm going to let Jeff know. Don't answer that eConsult. And let's continue to roll along. So if we go to the actual new eConsult Ocean integration, there's a button here. And if you don't have this toolbar, just drop us a line in the chat and we'll make sure that you get the link as to where to actually download this Ocean toolbar, because the Ocean toolbar is probably the most important thing to have in order to make this whole integration functional. But to actually get into eConsult, the newest toolbar has this Ontario eConsult button. So what you do is you click that, it's going to launch this little Ocean launcher. And then what it's going to do, and this is the part that's really cool, is it's going to pull all that information that I manually entered right into Ocean. So friction point 1 eliminated. Then it says, do you have the Ontario eConsult service through the hub? And if you have the OneID account that I showed you, you have this, that's clicked yes. You don't actually have to read this, and you can just say send eConsult. So if we wanted to have an attachment, we could actually add an attachment, and let's do it just for fun because that took all of 2 seconds. So let's click that. Let's click that and let's go and send that Ontario eConsult. So as we fire that through, and we press OK, we're going to open up that attachment. And then we're going to go back here. And now see this? Has anyone ever seen this or used this? This is actually where our attachment is populated. And if you're wondering if you attached the right thing or not, and you're like, I don't know if I actually sent the correct thing, you click here and you can see all the attachments that you wanted to send with that consult right there. And so if we go back here for a second and we go back to the eConsult, I think it launched under here. We'll be able to actually pull that up. So let's go back and relaunch that eConsult. And then I'll show you how I would send a consult to Jeff now in comparison to where I sent it before. And the reason I send a lot more eConsults now is because that point of friction of all that data entry is evaporated. So now we send and launch. I'm going to give my consent to actually email the patient. So this is a really cool thing because it eliminates the work of the patient calling my office and saying, did you ask the specialist the question? And you can say consent not given and don't use email, but I like to actually give the patient's consent so that they know that I sent an eConsult on their behalf, because it keeps them in the loop. And that reduces the total amount of work. And so we say, okay, that's it. Now you can actually wait for it to redirect or click if you're impatient and go directly to Ontario eConsult. So now it's going to go and actually launch that entire portal that I spent about 5 minutes logging into and doing 2-factor authentication and all of that. All those points of friction are completely eliminated. So now let's go send another one to Jeff Campbell. And here we go. This one was sent without friction. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So my name, my last name, my birthday, my health card with the spaces figured out, so I don't have to sweat that piece, and the version code. And then you can put the referral in, and it's got the attachment. So that is about 5 minutes of work that's been evaporated into about 60 seconds. And the more you do, and the more you practice, and the more you get into your workflow, the better and better and better it gets. And so that is how you send an eConsult in Telus using the eConsult OTN integration. So there's really no comparison.
Dan, can I have a question here?
Yeah, go for it.
So I tried this,
Yeah.
and when I was trying to go into eConsult,
Yep.
I didn't. Do I have to sign into the OTN? I've already. Do I have to re-sign, or is it already signed in?
Yeah, so once you do the Ontario eConsult, when you click that button,
Yeah.
the first time you send a consult, I'm fairly certain it will just ask for your password, I think once, and then you're in, once you're in. So once you do this part and you go in, it'll ask you and just say, what's your one ID? You put that in once, and once you're logged into eConsult, it will just automatically go.
Yeah, because I couldn't get into it. I tried to do it a few times, and then I had to delete it out and send it by
the other way.
Yeah, because this is a cute way, but and it will save a lot of time. I can see it.
Yeah.
But the only problem was, like, when I signed in.
Yeah.
I did the consult. I could not get into OTN. Like, it came to the OTN page, but it didn't allow me to sign in.
Right. So maybe what we can do is I'm going to put my email in the chat too. And I'd be happy to hop on a quick Zoom call with anyone and just see what you're doing to see if I can help you troubleshoot. And I'm sure the team from ECE and eServices would be happy to do the same. But if there's a small point of friction where it's just not working, let us know, because we want to help you do that. And Kathy, in terms of delegating an admin to do this, I actually don't know. I haven't done it yet because I want to make sure from a provider standpoint that I know what I'm doing before I delegate it. And because it was just launched in August, I'm still learning and just making sure that I understand it completely. But maybe the team from ECE and services can comment on whether or not we can delegate.
Yeah, that'll be great. You know what? I will, if I have a problem, I'm going to email you.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can, I might even, if you have a minute someday, just run into your place, because I live about 2 minutes from your office.
Yes, totally. And I think as family docs, we need to do more of that and help each other. So if there's anything that I can do to kind of help make the experience a little bit easier.
It'll be great, because that will help, I guess once we get, like as you said, we do one or two, and once we start to do the second and third, it will work faster.
Yes, it's just practice, to be honest. And Andrea's put in the chat as well, eConsult COE@toh.ca if you're having issues with your login. So if it's an actual login issue, they can help you troubleshoot, because everyone is interested, invested in seeing us use this more. And so that's just a quick first pass. Corey, I saw you had your...
So I won't take more of your time. We can discuss
Dr.
that some other time.
I'm going to check your account now, because I work for the eConsult Center of Excellence. So I'm supporting on that. I can check your account, just make sure, see if there's anything that's wonky with your login. I'll just send you a message in the chat quickly, and you can reach out to eConsultCoe.toh.ca. I'll respond to that email personally if I see it come through.
All right. So maybe, on the weekend, I'll look through it and email you back. Okay?
I'll do a quick
Thank you very much.
And then to answer the question about delegates, so delegates cannot submit an eConsult leveraging this integration for the time being. So part of the authentication to the OTN hub, so we do still require that authentication. And a part of that is based on the professional ID that is tied to the Ocean account, as well as to your OTN hub account. So those two pieces of information, those two pieces of criteria are validated before the patient health information can be exchanged between Ocean and the OTN hub platform. So as a result, delegates can't submit the eConsults, but if you do have a delegate assigned to your account, one thing to note is this is a one-way integration. It's an interim solution. We are looking at a full bidirectional for end of next fiscal. The delegates can still support on the retrieving of the eConsult case details from the OTN hub and putting it back into the PS Suite EMR for you and notifying you of the specialist response.
Thank you so much. That was great. Gord, I see your hand up.
Yeah, thanks. Andrea somewhat answered my question. That was kind of my issue or concern, is like where we're getting with the return of the eConsult back into electronic format versus us having to take that PDF and drop it back into it. So ultimately, we don't want our documents in PDFs because they're non-searchable documents. And so my question is whether there's any discussion about getting it pushed into HRM in the future, but or some other electronic based solution, sort of on the two-way sort of suggestion that you were mentioning, Andrea.
Dr. Pepe, do you mind if I respond to that?
Yeah, no, go for it.
So we are working with OTN and OMD to look at an HRM possible solution. So that is actually supposed to be coming before the full bi-directional. We're actually planning, hopefully, for an HRM push into January, February of next year is the goal. So this has been pushed off a couple of times, but understanding HRM isn't going to be the be all and end all, because not all clinicians want HRM reports, but it is something that is definitely being discussed and considered, and we have that on the table right now for beginning of 2023. So that one's coming sooner than the full bi-directional, which is very exciting.
Great.
Yeah.
And just comment, this eConsult integration using Ocean, I agree, this is a game changer for me. I've been using eConsult for 2-3 years, but sparingly because of the friction. I like the term, Dan. It's just so frustrating to have to do all that and transpose the data, and it's created a barrier for me, and for doing it. And I think there's once or twice I couldn't figure out why it wouldn't go. It's because I actually had transposed OHIP number and could not figure out why it wasn't working. Right.
Yeah, and it's a total pain. Kathy, you put a good comment in the box. Do you think I could get you to elaborate a little bit about what part of the admin burden is being increased?
Hi, Dan. I've unmuted. Can you hear me?
I can, Kathy. Thank you so much.
Great. I'm a dinosaur, so I'm always so pleased when I can do these things. So because of the frustrations, delegate this to my admin, which I agree decreases my use of eConsult, although I probably do 2 or 3 a month. But my admin does it all. I create the consult note in Telus. I then, indicate all the attachments, and then my admin does all of this through OTN. So if my admin can't do it, then, not only do I have the learning curve, but I still have to learn to do this in Ocean, which I don't use with my dinosaur claws. And so for me in my current workflow, then this increases my burden. I understand that absolutely 100%. It might make my staff happier, but one of the things that I find very frustrating in primary care, being dinosaur, is that 2 things, right? EMR facility is slower to come to some of us. I live in a time where over the last decade, my admin burdens have only increased, not decreased. So I do now all of my own filing, et cetera, right? As I put things into the chart, and I do much more admin. I spend much more time using the EMR to do admin than I ever did for most of my entire career. And that adds to my work burden.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't want to whine, but that's where I'm coming from.
No, I actually don't think it's whining at all. I think it's really, really good feedback. And I'm glad that eServices team is here, because if they don't hear that, they can't fix it and can't make it better. And also I'm going to dissent a little bit and say you're not a dinosaur because you're on a webinar about eReferral and eConsult at 7:49 on a Thursday. You're 100% not a dinosaur. But you come from a time in an era where the workflow, quite frankly, was better and smarter. And I think a lot of the times when I don't know what you want to call me, but a newer doc in practice finds these like revolutionary, it's because of the way that we were working 3 or 4 years ago, was ridiculous in comparison to where we work now. And so even though I look at it and go, this would never be accepted in any other sector, it still pushes us down the field a little bit. But I think there's lessons to be learned from your perspective about, you know, we're filing reports and doing all of these things that we never would have done. I would tell you that I use eConsult a lot more than 2 or 3 times a month, only because I'm learning. And so when I am on eConsult and using it, I actually use it as a tool really almost for CME to a degree, where I will send colleagues questions about cases that I have. And so I'm just going to show you guys a couple of good local docs and resources that I find really, really helpful on eConsult to support your work. So once this logs in here, I'll show you a couple of different ones that I really like for local physicians who are quite helpful. So these are my kind of top 10 list of providers. So I've already told you about Jeff Campbell. So Jeff is great from a urologic perspective and making sure that, you know, your urology workup is complete, really running by any questions around andrology or men's sexual health. I find him incredibly helpful. On the ENT side, Lee Sowerby gets the record for responding to eConsults the fastest. His record is 15 minutes after I sent one. And so it's really helpful to get advice on, not yet, honey, I'll be done in a bit. So that's Lee Sowerby on the ENT side. And then who else do I use regularly? Michelle Danby is an incredible resource in terms of pediatrics. And so whenever I have a question around a peds consult where I need clarification around the workup or what specialist to send to or what disease entity it might be, these are all individuals that I tap into locally. And then you can also search if you want to know what our local area is. You type in Lynn 2. And then you will see all of the local individuals who are here. Dr. Bory, Dr. Rahman, Dr. Wells, Dr. Denstead, Dr. Drozdowicz for orthopedics, Dr. Greger from GI, you've got Dr. Elsad from infectious disease, quite helpful in terms of connecting with other docs and checking in with them. So that is really, I think, the majority of what I have on the eConsult side. Unless anyone has any other questions, we'll pop over to the Ocean side and I'll show you that side of the equation.
Dan, I just had my hand up. I just wanted to make a comment. Thank you. So, you know, Kathy, your pain that you're talking about, administrative burden, is I think everyone feels that how much the EMR has increased the work. And one of the things I've really tried to do is look at if there are things that I can change that may not change the time I do it, but how I do it. Does it actually decrease my administrative burdens workload to allow them to do something else that can take off my plate? And so I'll give you an example. If I was to start doing my eConsults on my own, rather than my admin staff, it may allow my admin staff to actually categorize my HRM inbox so I don't have to categorize it, because we know that those don't get auto-categorized as well as they should be. And my staff have actually started doing that. So when I have to go through my HRM inbox, I don't have to make sure that that actually is an orthopedic consult when it's actually labeled as an oncology consult and have to change it. So there's just things that it's finding the balance in your practice to sort of figure out what is the most valuable use for their time. And so when the fact that you're spending your time writing your consult in Telus and getting them to copy and paste, this Ocean referral integration to me would make it just as easy, because the demographic data dumps into eConsult now. So all you need to do is just type your consult in the eConsult rather than Telus. So to me, I don't think, honestly, you have to, it's taking the opportunity to try getting some coaching, but I don't think it's going to change your time. It actually may decrease your time in the long run. That's just my thought.
So Dan, you've shown us how to send it out. Can you show us how the consult comes back when
Yes.
How do we go about with that?
Yeah, so let's pop back into eConsult. And so I think, Gord, that's actually a really well-made point, to be honest, because that's what I've noticed with my own staff is I've taken on sending more referrals in eConsults. And for an example, it's given one of my staff the ability to book an entire flu clinic tomorrow, call everyone, confirm them, and be ready to drop the vaccine. So I think it's a good point. And when we're ready and when individuals kind of reach that point of maturity, you know, then it's good. But I think it's good to hear the different perspectives. So Mohammed, that was your question. When they come back like this. So to come back here, what I usually do is I will go like this. I'll copy and paste it. I'll pop back into the patient's chart. I make a note, and then I have a small stamp that you can see kind of right here in the middle of the screen. And I have two. So I type in the word eConsult. And then I have eConsult sent and eConsult received. So when I send the consult, I send that stamp. And when I receive the eConsult, I say date, and I have a stamp for the date that puts the date in. I say Dr. Bashara. I copy and paste it below. And then if I notify the patient, I say yes, sign it off here. And then what I will often do is I will actually email out that eConsult response directly to the patient as a way to close the loop and keep them in mind and let them know what we've seen and what's going on. So that's how I pull them in. And Gord, that's how I get around the PDF.
Yeah.
Entire thing.
So
I do the final response.
I've had concern on that, because if you miss a chunk of the data and your copy and paste, that could be a college issue.
Mhm.
So that's my concern, is you're not taking the original document. And so I've thought about that, but that was my concern about doing it.
Yeah, so when I send the original consult, I have the original consult here, and I'm showing you for the purposes of this that I'm just taking out the small block of text, but in reality, I'm pulling the whole thing out.
Yeah, because I would still potentially download the PDF, but do what you're doing. You know, that's a duplicate, but it's a nicer way of having to look at it quickly and communicate with the patient. Yeah,
because then when I need to look for the word eConsult and find all my eConsults, I can search it and find all the places where I've actually had eConsult there. But this gets into a little bit of the nuance of individual workflows. And so I don't want you to walk away from this and say, oh, well, Dan does it that way, and I don't think I could do it that way, because that's not how I use a computer and that's not how my brain works. But what I'm really trying to show you is what's possible. And then for each of us, we get to decide how we want to deliver the outcome. And so one of my favorite ways to think about how we do the work is tight, loose, tight. So we all agree that we need to send consults to each other. How we go about sending the consults is up to us individually. And then, you know, Gord, to your point, from a college perspective, we have requirements of how we need to document and communicate. And so the loose part is where we get our autonomy and independence. And if the tools are not at the place where you're thinking, yes, I'm going to adopt this tomorrow, that is okay. That is okay to kind of be aware of it and say, when they do X, I will use it more. And I've said this to e-services. I said, when you do the integration where it pulls out that stupid little health card number, I'm down. Then you have a product that's really getting me excited. And so that's how we've kind of approached that. But in the interest of time, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into some e-referral stuff, which is really where I think Ocean actually shines from a referral standpoint. So again, typical referral workflow. So we're going to pick on Jeff Campbell again, and then I'm just going to tell him to ignore all of this stuff. So I make my letter. I'm sending it to Jeff Campbell. I have to make sure that this is coded. And if this isn't coded, I have to click urology. I say add, I say done. I say, hi, Jeff. This is a test referral. I'm going to have to get him some coffee tomorrow. Damn. Okay. So Control Shift F. Then I want to include my profile. Then I'm going to fax it off. And then I'm going to wait for this thing to do its little thing here. Okay. It's going. I hope it's going. Okay, we're going to submit the fax. And then we hope and pray that the fax is working, that SR fax is not going down, that I don't close my computer out too quickly and the referral is lost forever. And then that's sent. And then I have to click this little button, and I've got to click it here and click it here and click it here. And then my referral is sent. On Ocean, so we've talked about the eConsult button. If we go 3 inches to the right, we're in the refer button. And so the refer button launches a really, really, really cool thing called the Ocean Health Map. I'll just keep the chat open here to make sure that we're not missing anything. Okay. So what I've done for our Ocean site is I've actually set up a whole bunch of favorites. And so the way that you make favorites is you can actually make big categories, and you can edit the titles of those categories. So DI test. And that's how you change them. So you can make them say whatever you like. You can put A, B, C, D, E, cardiology at the top, gastro at the top. You can say my favorites, and you can say my favorites, and you can update it as you go. And then in this view, you have the ability to flex and organize as you see fit. So again, it's all about autonomy and all about making sure you have the tools organized how you want. Maybe you want Elmer ultrasound at the top because you love Elmer ultrasound. Maybe you're sitting here going, Elmer has an ultrasound. And this is the fun part that I really like about the health map. Before we send any referral, I want to show you a couple of things that I like to do sometimes. So this is my house on the map. Let's look up X-ray. Let's see all the X-ray places that are around my house. So when patients say, what's near me? Here, this is what's near you. These are all the places that are near you. And then you can pick and say, okay, we're going to send you here. All right, I'm going to send you to this guy at Bowler Road, and we're going to make sure you get an X-ray. So we're going to send that eReferral off. I'm going to tell you, I don't know, I'm 170, 90 kilos. I speak English, sure. And I want to do an X-ray. And I'm going to say, rule out erosions, because today was rheumatoid arthritis day in the office, and I was checking everybody for erosions. So we're going to do both hands, and we're going to do both feet. So where's the lower extremities? We're going to click those, and we're going to say test referral. Now you'll see here that I've included a copy of this little note, but I can include whatever the heck I want, because as long as it's an ocean and as long as I can green bar it, I can send it. So it's got all my info there. It's got my email as a clinician, and it's got my email as a patient up at the top. And so please note the requisition is valid 3 months from when it's dated. So let's send it off to central intake. Email notifications contain PHI. A patient's email is included here. They will receive email notifications regarding important status updates. Obtain consent before you submit. So as a habit over the last 19, 20 months of using Ocean on a regular basis, I have talked to almost everyone in my practice. And when I say, do you want an email about your appointment? They say, yes, absolutely. So we're going to do the consent, and I'm going to send that along, and we're going to proceed with that referral. So now this is a receipt for the referral. And when you're starting, and when I started to send diagnostic imaging referrals, I would often actually print this as a receipt, and I'd give it to the patient, no different than a completed rec, because some patients want something tangible with them. They don't just want to walk into LXA and say, oh, my doctor sent a referral. They really want a receipt. And so you can actually print that receipt and have them walk in to LXA. And so that is as easy as it can get in terms of sending an e-referral. So we have just sent an X-ray. Now, what if I wanted to send something to MyHealth? I can also search the word MyHealth and say, you know what, I actually want to send something to the MyHealth on Southdale. And let's say I don't care where the location is, because I'm seeing someone and I want to make sure that they don't have a kidney stone, and I want an urgent imaging report. So when we worked with MyHealth to set them up on eReferral, we actually put in this urgent button. And what you can do is you can actually have your staff, or you can call the back line to make sure that they can accommodate your urgent request. You can say rule out kidney stone, if I can spell kidney. Okay. And then we're going to go through here. We're going to do renal and bladder ultrasound, and then we're going to fire that off. So we're going to send that referral off. Again, I'm going to give my consent for that e-referral. And now we've sent 2 e-referrals tonight. So this is great. We're clicking along and we're sending our referrals. Now, what if I need an urgent MRI, or my patient wanted to go anywhere in the province where we could get the MRI the fastest? If you type in the word MRI, so again, MRI up in the search bar, and you type MRI here, it'll say no listings were found. So you click whole directory, and now it's looking across the province, and I'll show you the map here. And anywhere where there's a star, that's where your patient can have an MRI booked through Ocean. So now this is where it gets really, really fun. So you can actually sort by wait time. And you can say, you know what? If you drive to Ajax, I can get you an MRI in 12 days, because 12 days is the live data tracker of a sample size of the last 330 referrals that they're able to get a report, a wait for an MRI within 12 days. And so all of a sudden that burden that's placed on us of finding me the fastest MRI goes away. And if they say, you know what, I can't drive to Ajax, but I'll drive to Sarnia. Sure. What's Blue Water? Blue Water's 11 weeks. So priority 4 waits are 42 days. And the self-reported wait time for the patients is 6 to 8 weeks. So by using these systems, you actually get insight into live tracking. And I was talking to Vineet earlier today, and we were debating whether or not we talk about all the quick and fast referral places. And so let me show you where we can actually get a CT scan done within 10 days. Although I didn't check it before the webinar, so it might be longer than 10 days. Let's go wait time. And here you go. So listable. Or if someone wants to go to Blue Water, they can get a CT in 13 days. And so this is the power of Ocean to actually show us and democratize access to things like diagnostic imaging and specialists. And you can sit down, and I often will do this in the appointment with patients, and I will show them, where do you want to go? How long do you want to wait for that imaging? And where are you willing to drive to get it if they do want that urgent imaging? And that has alleviated a substantial burden in my office of trying to actually figure out where to take patients. So I'll pause there for questions, and then I can continue to show you a couple more things.
So once you send out the consultation, say for MRI or radiology, now do they get in touch with the patient if there's no email?
Yes, so they will. They'll get in touch with the patient by phone or by email. And if you have concerns about making sure that the patient is in touch with them, I'll show you some ways that you can actually flag that department and division that you can kind of improve over time. So let me share again with my screen. I just want to take it off my screen because I felt like I had it up for a long time. So let's go back and now click the Ocean portal. So this is your command center where you or your staff or your admin, to Kathy's earlier point, can manage all your referrals. And so this is something that my staff do for me. So we're going to open this up here. It's just loading because we sent a couple e-referrals. And so it's now synchronizing those e-referrals right into the chart. So you can see here that it's sent and that's sent. And so these are actually live trackers of those referrals I sent. So you can see here, this is the old school tracking where when we get the appointment date and time back, we have to say, you know, September 8th, 2023 at 8 a.m. You know, patients notified and all of that stuff versus the live trackers right here. So let's say I wanted to notify my health of something. And let's say I got their phone number wrong. Just for a second, Mohammed, I want to show you how we can actually edit these referrals and edit the patient information. So let's say I actually got the phone number wrong and it's 3323 and I had faxed the referral and then I need to fax them another referral. In this case, I just update it. And what if it's like, shoot, I ordered a renal and bladder ultrasound, but I wanted it to be renal, bladder, and abdomen. Okay, done. It's fixed. There's no more banter back and forth. And they can see here the changes that are made. If I say, dear team, this is a test referral. Please contact the patient's secondary number by phone as they do not check email. I can send that and that goes directly to the admin team at the My Health Center. And as you send more referrals, you will get to know people by name. Barb Bass at London X-Ray, a couple of other teams. You'll know Donna Wilson at the London Scoping Center, and you get to know them and build relationships through this messaging. And it's quite cool. And this record is available so that when patients say, I didn't receive a call, that referring and receiving centers will actually update you. They'll say we called 3, 4, 5 times on these dates and these times. And then it's an accountability mechanism to share it back with your patient and say, they actually did call you and you didn't respond. So Mohammed, is that helpful to kind of show you how you can communicate back and forth with them?
Yep, thanks.
Okay, awesome. And then let's say I'm sending a referral. Let's go and pick on our rheumatology friends. So Stephanie Gothow was a colleague of mine in medical school, and I send a lot of referrals to her. She's kind of my go-to rheumatologist. And so if I want to send a referral to Steph Gothow, I can tell patients by clicking on this button, her wait time is 44 days for a new consult for rheumatoid arthritis. What's that based on? Well, it's based on 34 of her last referrals. So I send that referral along to her, say, rule out RA, less than 6 weeks, joint stiffness, greater than 1 hour in morning, no rash, no ocular symptoms, etc. And let's say I don't have an x-ray or labs yet because I've just told the patient today, go get your x-ray and labs done. So I send that referral along and I do that. And so when we go and send that referral along, you'll notice up here in the top right, it says chart out of date. It's because it's synchronizing live with Ocean to let us know what's happening. And let's say my patient does actually get an x-ray completed. So let's go here, or some labs done. So let's go up here and let's just pretend that this is now lab work as an example. So now we've got some lab work and my computer's being kind of funny in how it's adding that, but I can click this. I can say attach, create that attachment, say fine, name it whatever, and then go back down to this referral to Dr. Gothow. So I'm going to open up that live referral. and I'm going to attach a document. So when my staff file a report for an X-ray or a lab, I can task them and say, add to the eReferral to Dr. Gothal, and say, here are the labs. And now I don't have to wait to send the referral until they get their labs. I can generate the referrals to get your labs and X-ray done. And then as they come in, do that. So I always tell my patients, I'm going to get you in the queue today, but you need to get these labs and X-rays done. Otherwise, they're not going to accept the referral. So that's just another example. Let's see here. Okay, perfect. So let's continue to kind of roll through here. I can show you the scoping center. So the big three that I wanted to make sure that you guys saw tonight were London X-ray, My Health Center, and the scoping center. Because oftentimes, if you can consolidate one of your workflows, like imaging, then that's a good place to start. So you could say, okay, I'm going to only do all my imaging, ultrasounds, X-rays, all through Ocean, and just pick that. Some people say, you know, that's too complicated. It's too hard to train my practice. And I get that. So let's do scopes. And let's do all your endoscopy through the scoping center. So one thing that I will flag for you is you can actually show people the wait time for a non-urgent colonoscopy and a non-urgent endoscopy, which helps in terms of expectation management. Again, 180, 90, sure. OHIP, no interpreter, not applicable. Colonoscopy, urgent. New bright blood per rectum. No previous scopes. Fit positive, sure. We can put that in if we want, and then we make sure that we attach that report. And then you can include the CPP. And then again, we can send that referral along. And the patient gets notified at each step of that referral as we move along. And so this becomes a very, very helpful workflow as you move through. Now, I do want to take a bit of time just to show you the other places you can send referrals to so you are aware. So there are community support services. So there's London and Middlesex Community Support Services. There's Elgin Community Support Services. There's the Arthritis Society that's on Ocean. And so if you click the London Middlesex Community Support Services, and I have to give them credit, they were the first organization in London Middlesex on Ocean. For most services, in order to be eligible, you must be at least 55, an adult with a disability, or someone who's palliative and a caregiver. And so oftentimes when I have someone who's palliative, or they're kind of reaching the end of their life, or they need more assistance, and I need someone to help me figure out what community resources are available, I will actually refer them to CSS. I'll say it's routine. Patient caregiver says it's okay to leave a voicemail. Sure. And then I sit with the patient. I say, what do you need help with? Well, I need help with rides, and I would love to have someone help me not fall. And I would love to help someone with, you know, dementia support. Okay, who's expecting the call? The patient's expecting the call. So then we go through and we're going to send that referral. Well, okay, what happened? So the referral form was invalid. So this actually prevents you from sending an incomplete referral, which I don't know about you guys. Maybe you have a better attention to detail than I do, but I send so many referrals where I'm missing a box, or I forgot a weight, or I forgot a height, or their creatinine is a month old. And I have to actually click and make sure that it's completely filled out before it goes. So now that referral is actually sent off. And so I'm sure some of you are looking at me going, why is he sending all of these live referrals? And I'm going to show you why I'm sending a whole bunch of live referrals, because canceling referrals is easy. Like, it's dead easy. And so we're going to go through and we're going to cancel all of those referrals out that I just made, which would have been a no-no in any previous webinar. If you were sending live faxes off to people, that's not something that you would have done in a live demo, because you have no way of undermining or of unwinding that. So let's cancel the CSS referral. So we open up that live CSS referral that we just sent. We click up here in the top right corner and we're going to say cancel. So keep this referral or proceed to cancel. Now we're going to proceed to cancel. Demo. Done. Are we going to email the patient? Sure. I'm going to have to clear out my inbox with all the cancellation emails at the end, but that's okay. Okay, so now the status is canceled. What about this colonoscopy? Okay, patient doesn't need it anymore. So we're going to go up here. We're going to, again, say cancel. We're going to proceed to cancel the referral, and we're going to say no longer required. So we're going to proceed to cancel that referral, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to email the patient and notify the patient that that referral has been canceled. Maybe they called us and said, I don't want the colonoscopy anymore. So we can actually start to close out loops and make sure that when someone cancels a referral, it is actually canceled. So referral canceled as it was a demo. Thank you, Steph. Okay, perfect. So we're going to cancel that referral. And so you can see the simplicity of the workflow and how easy it is. And it's not something you're going to figure out immediately. Everyone's going to use it a little differently, and everyone has a different approach, and that's okay. That's fine. You can go as slow or as quick as you like. You don't have to do anything quickly or slowly or at a pace that you're not ready for. That's no problem. But it's really important that you're aware of what's out there and what could potentially make your life better, easier, or more streamlined, because there are things that I think would help and certainly do help reduce the total teamwork between your admin, between your nurse, between yourself. So that one is not canceling because I keep reflexively clicking keep this referral. Sorry to not need it. Okay. And so I think you get the gist of how we cancel referrals. I think you get the gist of where we send referrals. I think you have a sense of how we can use eConsult. I'm going to show you a couple of other things in terms of short wait times or good wait times. So let's go and look at ENTs. So you have Dr. Sowerby. If you wanted to send something to Dr. Sowerby, you can tell people it's 3 months through Ocean. Dr. Fung, if you'd like him to scope something or biopsy a tongue lesion, I will often send him a photo. He will see them in 8 weeks. He's got a pretty simple referral form: reason, history, CPP. I usually attach a photo of a tongue or something, and that's always helpful to have in there. And then the last thing that I'm going to show you is what Dr. Nair was talking about with regards to EFACs. And so you'll see here all these ones that say EFACs. So we've got OB-GYN. Dr. Mrunzik is our #1 target at my office. We've got urology, we've got general surgery, we've got allergy and immunology, we've got Dr. Gupta, we've got the breast clinic, we've got gastroenterology. All of these can also be sent through Ocean. So if you say, well, I want to send an eConsult, but I know the hospital is not on and I can't send to the hospital. Yes, you can. So we're going to pick on Jeff Campbell one more time so that I can just text him once, fax your office a whole bunch. So we're going to do that. Now, this is the eConsult to eReferral template. And what's really cool about this template is this is a standard template that's generated for all the eFax and eConsult recipients. So you can see here, urgency, and then what is your goal? Is it an advice? Is it co-management? Are you trying to get diagnostic clarification? Do you want a second opinion? And then you can specify what is triggering the referral, what's your question, and what have you done to date? And so just for illustration purposes, we're going to go back a hair, and I'm going to show you that Dr. Mrunzik has the same referral form. And so the really, really, really cool part about the eFax eReferral pilot is that we have actually standardized one bloody type of form for all of these docs. And it's really, really, really cool to see. So all of these guys, including the rapid access clinics for hip and knee, including Dr. Brackstone, including Dr. Richards, including Dr. Spicer, they all use the same eFax eReferral form. And so let's go back to where we were going to go with Dr. Campbell, and I'll show you how that piece works. And then I think we're basically done and we're on to the question piece. So I think I pushed it a little too far and was going back and forward too much, but it's easy. Click referral, type eFax, boom, there's all your eFax, guys. Let's go back. Let's pick on Dr. Campbell. All right. We're going to send the referral via eFax, English, mobile, co-management, PPH. Dear Jeff, I need help managing this person's PPH, and I wonder if they would benefit from Reason. What do? We did a urine culture, we did the UA, we did a renal and bladder ultrasound, and then my CPP populates, and I can go here and I can attach whatever other documents that I want to attach. And then the only difference is we're going to skip the attachment here. It will still notify again the patient that you're sending the referral through eFax, and then we can send that referral off. And this is going to send the referral exactly like what everything else looks like on the Ocean side, except for the difference, and I'll just point that out to you here, is this fact at the bottom. So we'll let it build the chart out, and we'll go down just a hair. Okay, generic Ocean form, sure. Okay, thanks. So the one thing you'll see here is sent via eFax versus all the other ones that we sent are right here. And you can see it's actually got a live update that I said canceled and a demo. So that's going to get cleared out by London Middlesex CSS tomorrow. Again, you can see that this colonoscopy was canceled, and these live trackers keep track of what's going on, and you have a record. Again, here's the record of the cancellation, and you can see all of that there. So I'm going to pause there. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And look forward to questions. Gord, go ahead.
When we went through the eConsult, we found out there were certain things that you can't delegate to your reception staff. Can you tell us what of eReferral can be delegated to the reception staff?
Yes, I don't know if this is actually proper or not, but my team can send eReferrals on my behalf. So Kathy, maybe this is where your workflow works. I will send a note to my staff and say, order a screening mammogram for X person, order a colonoscopy for X person. I typically don't send the more complex referrals to them because I want to add a bit of a personal touch for myself when I send the referrals, but all of those simple referrals needs mammo, needs BMD, needs repeat ultrasound for gallbladder polyp in 1 year. All of that I'm delegating through Ocean, and you can set up the delegates. And I think if you needed specific help in your office to say, this is my delegate, this is how my Ocean account is set up, I think that's where our team from eServices and the ECE are perfectly positioned to help you work through those individual use cases and support you.
Thanks, that's helpful, Dan. I would say a lot of this sort of what I'm going to call your advanced level, Dan. I remember being showed this at the beginning on the the demos and stuff, and so here I've been using eConsult for 1.5 years, and you're like way at a level above of what we're doing in our office. So to me, there's those users who've been using it for a while that may need that advanced training. Like I see the value of some of these things, which I didn't realize I could go in and edit a referral. Maybe I did, but I didn't realize it. So I'm just telling my staff, when the labs come in, fax it to Dr. Gottlieb's office, right? So we're going back to the fax stuff without even realizing that that's there. And so I see some things that really can improve our efficiencies. And but it's just, you don't know what you don't know.
No, and that's why if anyone needs support, advice, coaching, I'll give you my email, I'll give you my cell phone, text me, call me, because unless somebody shows you in the moment with the use case that you have, it doesn't stick. We all need that mentorship. And this, for me, to get to this point, is a lot of hours of thinking and of reflecting and of talking to my staff and looking what's out there and thinking about my workflow. But at current, I send 90% of my consults through Ocean. There are very few select things that I actually send through the fax anymore. And as we've consolidated the workflow more and more, we've gotten slicker and smoother at kind of managing things a little bit. The other thing I can show you, if I can pull it up here, is how I actually review and manage my referrals. And so maybe, Rachel, if it's possible for this point, is there a way to kind of turn off the recording just because there's going to be some PHI? And I know that the professionals on the call will respect that, but is that reasonable, Gord, to kind of show people that part? Are we allowed to? I don't know.
Yeah, it's your choice. I think you should definitely not record.
Yeah, I can stop the recording now, Dan.
In camera session.